You already know what it feels like. You open your phone, you send a message, you get a reply within seconds. And somehow, despite all of that, you feel more alone than you did 10 years ago when you had to actually wait by a landline to hear someone's voice. That feeling is not in your head. That feeling is not weakness. And you are not the only one sitting with it right now. Here is something that will shake you a little. Studies on social connection consistently show that people who communicate more frequently through digital channels report feeling less emotionally close to their friends over time, not more. More messages, less depth, more availability, less presence. And it is happening to millions of people right now who cannot figure out why their friendships feel hollow even though they technically talk to everyone every single day. Let that sit for a second. Before we go any further, I need to tell you something. There is a program linked in the description of this video. Most people will scroll past it. Most people will keep doing what they've always done, which is wonder why things feel the way they feel without ever changing anything. If something in this video resonates with you on a deep level, that link is there for a reason. But only the people who are truly serious about transformation will bother to click it. That is exactly why it works for the people who do. Now let us get into the real conversation. Think about a friendship you had at some point in your life that felt completely different from what you have now. Maybe it was someone you used to sit with for hours talking about things that actually mattered. Maybe the conversation would drift into places you did not expect. Maybe there were long silences that did not feel awkward because the safety between you two was so strong that silence itself felt like a form of communication. That kind of friendship felt like home. You felt seen inside of it in a way that is very hard to describe but very easy to feel the absence of. And then something subtle happened over time. The world got faster, phones got smarter, texting became the primary language of friendship, and without either of you realizing it, the depth started draining out of what you had. Not dramatically, not in a single painful moment, but quietly, one emoji at a time, one voice note instead of a phone call, one meme instead of a real conversation about how you were actually doing. That is the silent theft that nobody is talking about loudly enough. Here is why this happens on a psychological level, and it is going to make complete sense to you once you hear it. Human beings were built for face-to-face, voice-to-voice, fully embodied connection. When you sit across from someone, your nervous system is doing an enormous amount of work that you are not even aware of. You are reading micro-expressions. You are tracking tone of voice. You are responding to the warmth in the room and the timing of a pause and the weight of a sigh. Your brain is processing 1,000 layers of emotional information simultaneously, and all of that information is what creates the feeling of truly knowing someone. Digital communication strips most of that away. What you are left with is words on a screen. And words on a screen, no matter how many of them you send, cannot replicate what the nervous system needs to feel genuine closeness. You can text someone 40 times in a day and still leave that interaction feeling empty because nothing in your biology registered it as real intimacy. Your body knows the difference, even when your mind tries to convince itself that staying in touch counts as being close. And here's the part that makes this even more painful. The very act of digital communication creates the illusion of closeness without actually building it. So you feel like you are maintaining the friendship. You feel like you are putting in effort. You are sending good morning messages. You are reacting to stories. You are keeping the thread alive. But underneath all of that surface activity, the real roots of the friendship are slowly drying out because they are not being fed by the thing they actually need, which is depth. Depth requires vulnerability. And vulnerability requires a certain environment to feel safe in. That environment almost never exists in a text message. Nobody sends their real fears in a chat. Nobody types out the thing that is actually breaking them at 2 in the morning and waits for 3 dots to appear on a screen and then reads a reply that was written in 40 seconds. That is not a real exchange. That is a placeholder for one. So what ends up happening is you and the people you care about start to exist in this strange in-between space where you are technically in contact but emotionally disconnected. You know what is happening in each other's lives on the surface because you see the posts and the updates, but you have no idea what is actually happening inside each other. And over months and years, that gap becomes the relationship. The surface becomes the whole thing. And then one day you realize you cannot actually remember the last time you talked to this person in a way that felt real. And there is this particular kind of grief that comes with that realization because you did not fight. Nobody did anything wrong. The friendship did not end. It just slowly became something neither of you signed up for and neither of you knew how to stop. That grief is one of the loneliest feelings in the world because it is invisible. Nobody offers you comfort for a friendship that technically still exists. You cannot explain it to people without sounding like you are being dramatic. But inside you know, something important got lost. Something you can feel the shape of even though you cannot quite name it. And here is what makes it urgent. Every single day that passes where that pattern continues is a day where the reconnection becomes harder. Not impossible, but harder. Because habits of shallow communication build on themselves. Because the longer you go without depth, the more foreign depth starts to feel, even with the people you love most. The awkwardness of suddenly going deep with someone you have been exchanging gifts with for 3 years is real. And that awkwardness is a wall. And walls, if you leave them long enough, start to feel permanent. Now let us talk about what becomes possible when you actually understand this and do something about it. Imagine sitting across from someone and the conversation goes somewhere real, not forced, not scripted, just real. They say something that surprises you. You say something back that surprises yourself. There is that thing that happens in deep conversations, where you end up saying out loud something you did not even know you were carrying. And the other person recognizes it immediately, because they have been carrying something similar, and for a moment the distance between two separate human beings collapses entirely. That moment. That is what you are here for. That is what human beings have been doing around fires and kitchen tables and on long walks since the beginning of time. That is not a luxury. That is oxygen. People who cultivate that kind of depth in their relationships report dramatically lower levels of anxiety and depression. They report higher levels of meaning and purpose. They report feeling more resilient when life gets hard because they have people who actually know them, not just people who follow them. The research on this is consistent and clear across decades of studies on human well-being. Deep connection is not a nice thing to have. It is one of the most powerful predictors of how well your life actually goes. And the thing that so many people do not realize is that rebuilding this is not as impossible as it feels. It does not require going back in time. It does not require grand gestures or dramatic conversations. What it requires is understanding what actually creates depth and then being willing to do that consistently even when the pull of convenience is screaming at you to just send a voice note instead. The people who figure this out early gain something that is genuinely rare right now. Because everyone else is caught in the digital loop, mistaking activity for closeness, mistaking availability for presence. The person who breaks out of that loop and actually learns how to build real depth with the people around them becomes someone magnetic. Someone others feel more themselves around. Someone who walks into a room and people feel the difference without being able to explain why. That is not charisma you are born with, that is a skill, and it is one of the most valuable skills a human being can develop in this particular moment in history. Think about the compound effect of that over time. 3 years from now, 5 years from now. What does your inner world look like when you are surrounded by people who genuinely know you, who have been through real conversations with you, who feel like home because you did the work to build something real with them? What does your daily life feel like when you stop performing closeness through a screen and start actually experiencing it in person? That transformation is not theoretical, it is available, and it changes everything. The people who are most stuck right now are the ones who know something is wrong but keep hoping the problem will fix itself. It will not fix itself. Digital communication is only going to get faster and more convenient and more addictive. The pull towards surface-level connection is only going to get stronger, which means the decision to do something different becomes more valuable and more urgent with every passing month, not less. If what you have heard in this video is resonating somewhere deep in you, that is not an accident. That recognition is information. It is pointing at something real that you have been feeling and maybe not fully naming, until right now. The program linked in the description of this video exists for the people who are done waiting for things to get better on their own. Not everyone is ready for that, honestly, most people are not. But if you are, if you can feel that this is the thing you have been circling around for a while without having the exact roadmap to actually change it, then do not let yourself scroll past that link today. Not today. Because the version of you who is sitting in genuine, deeply rooted friendships 3 years from now started by making a different decision than the one you have been making. That decision is right there in the description. Right now.